All right, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we already got jokesters in the house. What are you guys talking about here? His own time zone. We do have our own time zone. That's okay. We want to keep you guys waiting, man. If I gave you exactly what you wanted when you wanted it, you wouldn't want to come back. So, yes, we are in the house, guys. We got a wonderful show lined up for you. Awesome people. And yes, Mr. Stone, who was a guest on the show last week. If you are not following him on any of the other social media channels, man, this guy is amazing. He turned around and did, I sent him all the video stuff, all the assets after we got done. I mean, by the next day, he already had like micro content sharing out there. And I was like, gosh, man, you're a G. So hats off to you, Chris Stone. All right, folks, let's get started. If you're checking us out for the first time on our YouTube channel, please head over to the Gabe Blue Experience and hit the subscribe button, guys. We're always trying to build our viewership over there on our YouTube channel. You can also hit the notification bell to let you know whenever we are live, whenever we schedule new lives, and whenever we drop new video content on the channel. So if you're over there checking us out, thank you so much. Always, always a pleasure. And of course, guys, we are streaming on our favorite platform, LinkedIn, guys. So if you're checking us out on LinkedIn, do appreciate it. Hit the bell as well. Ring my bell over, like as they say on LinkedIn. I got this for a reason. Hit the bell, ring the bell over there on LinkedIn. Follow my content. It'll let you know whenever I put new content on the channel. Or not on the channel, on my profile. I got to get my scripts right. Got to get my scripts right. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in over on LinkedIn, of course. And as you can see, got my nice Impro hat on. So if you want to go check out swag, you can head over to our swag store, guys. That's right. Impro Media Swag. We got shirts, hats, mugs. Thanks to Dana Fellows and the Inky Black team who created our logo, and of course the Mavens of Merch. They are launching other merch stores for other live stream creators as well. So if you're not following them over there, I will put the link in the comment as we comments as we go along, so you can go check out the store over there. It's awesome. They have Chris Hennessy's got his merch over there now. So like I said, we got other creators over there putting their merch. So let's give a little love to our Inky Black team. They're amazing. Again, they help with the logo, and yeah, and they're awesome. If you need design work, help bringing out your vision, that's what they do. So Mr. Guy Graves and Dana Fellows over there. All right, guys. And you know what? I forgot to do this, but we're gonna do this on the fly. This is how cool Ecamm is. And thank you so much for loving the swag. That's what it's all about, man. Go follow the swag. So I got to update my own count here. And it is now, let me see, hold on. So you guys get an accurate count of what we got going on here, because we are keeping count of all of my followers now, because we've been tracking this just to see whether or not it would work. So watch this. This is what I love about my Ecamm Live. There we go. Updated follower count that quick. We are now at 7,780. So if you're not following me, please follow, hit the bell, connect with me. Love it whenever I meet new people here on the platform. So thank you so much. And of course, every single day we get to do this show. So hopefully we get new people that tune in. The whole reason is because I want new people to come into the community here and show up and find value in what we put out there. So that's the whole reason of wanting to push more and more followers out there. So we are now at 7,780, which is pretty good. I think we've grown. I was at, believe last week at like 7,702. So pretty nice jump. So the more people we get in here, the more people that come hang out in our community. So if you make any recommendations, please tell them to follow me. I'm trying to get as many people to follow as possible. So there you go. that's what that is all about. If people want to know, I'm not chasing numbers. I just want to grow this community to a lot more people, because there's just so many interesting people out here on this platform that I'm learning about. And part of it is just, getting in contact with them and growing that network out. So this is what this platform is supposed to do. So um, that is why I'm reaching out and doing this. I haven't done this in a very long time, not pretty much since I got on LinkedIn, where I was reaching out and connecting with so many people. So that is a big mission for me. I want to get as many people to tune in every single night. All right, guys. Let's get started with this evening's conversation. We have a wonderful, wonderful individual. If you've ever tuned into the show before, he's been a guest on here. And not only that, if you're into any kind of live streaming or podcasting, this gentleman has been doing this for such a long time. And, seeing from sharing, I think he did a post not too long ago talking about this, like seeing his journey from where he began until this point now, where he is as a creator, and what he's kind of now started doing with his home studio mastery. He's actually turned it into a certified course, a college course that's being taught. And we're going to talk about that because that's big news. I mean, to go and turn this into actual content that people are going to study and want to learn, man, that's amazing. So I want to give hats off to our guest for this evening, guys. He is the host of Hacks and Hobbies, which I booked a time on there and we'll be on with him, but he's got plenty more episodes. A lot of really great creators that have gone on there, and individuals who've shared their stories and talk about the things that their hobbies and the tips and tricks that they share with people. It's a really great podcast. You need to go check it out on Apple Podcasts. I mean, anywhere you can find podcasts, this guy's got it on there. So help me welcome to the show, guys, our guest for the evening, Mr. Junaid Ahmed. There he is, folks. Let's give him a round of applause.
Wow.
He is. There you go. He deserves
Wow. Standing ovation. Check that out.
that. Standing ovation indeed. Welcome to the show, buddy. It's good to have you back, man. And we were actually talking about this before we came on. It's been almost a year since we had a live conversation.
I know it's been a minute, and I've seen you grow and seen you bring on so many amazing guests, and I'm losing my words already here thinking about Chris Stone.
Yeah. Right, I know, Mr. Dealcaster himself. And one of the cool things about what you've and seeing not just myself grow, but then also seeing some of the things that you've been doing as well. What you've done with the home studio mastery, then how that's kind of taken off for you. You've done work for other creators. You've actually now turned this into a course. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But then I've also seen you to start sharing a little bit more personal, intimate details, like things that you've been sharing to kind of open up a little bit and be a little vulnerable. What was kind of behind wanting to start doing that, which is interesting to see, because like I said, I've been following you for a while. We've known each other for a while, and I've seen a lot of your content, and a lot of the stuff that you do is really great when you're talking about live streaming and all the technical stuff. But seeing that side of you, it's pretty interesting.
Well, what's cool is that so much of the growth happens when you have conversations with yourself and with others that have been on the same path, and the podcast has made me the storyteller that I wasn't, right? Being able to talk to over 500 people on the podcast, listening to their story, and that's what enabled me to able to tell my story properly. Because before being in front of the camera, I was just mincing my words and figuring out how to even tell a story. I knew how to tell stories and jokes, and they always fell flat. But the more I listened to other people, the more I paid attention, the more good stuff I put in side and through these ears and listening to those stories, the better I got.
No,
So
I
you
mean,
mentioned something about sharing personal struggles and personal lives. That's the stuff that people really love.
oh,
They're like, hey, I can connect with this guy. And you know, in the green room when you mentioned we haven't talked in a whole year, I'm like, yes, that is true, because when we last talked, I had 3 kids and now I have 4.
so he did join the yes. He joined the four kids club. That I've been a member for a long time. I have the my membership card is kind of worn on the edges. Been there for a while, but hey, man. First of all, congratulations. Even though it's 4 months ago, still
Thanks.
bringing a new life into the world is always something to celebrate. No matter how long ago you might have think it was, and it's pretty. Again, it shows a different side to you as a creator, right?
Hmm.
And that's the part that I really love, and that's the thing I love to talk about when I bring on other people
Yeah.
and share their stories. Like sometimes I don't want to hear about always the business development side of what you do, or the what
Hmm.
you do in your career. I know that you're a big in LinkedIn person or whatever, or wherever you come from. It's
Yeah.
the other side that I really love in hearing that story, because there is more to it, as far as like how you've been able to share a lot more of who you are, and people get to know
Hmm.
Junaid on another level, right?
It's another level every time you show up, and the reason for that, and I was talking to my friend Chris McPhee. He's a photographer, Green Beret, and he's like, as you grow continually 1% at a time, you're now on another level. Like literally, you're on a different level.
Yeah.
If you think of the gaming perspective, right? You're not stuck in level one of Super Mario Brothers, right? You're eventually going to get to that tower and get to that castle, and then you're literally on another level. And when we're growing our minds, when we are in that growth mindset, when we're connecting with people that are also growing, we're automatically on another level. And I love what Lachelle said, keep the kids coming.
Yeah.
I don't think my wife's like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. That's a two-person process. So
Yeah.
there is another vote involved when that's happening. So
But we do
understandable.
have a lot of kids in the family coming. There's at least 4 new cousins my son is going to have by the end of the year. So total of 8 new kids in the family all over the U.S. It's I love it.
It's
And thank
amazing.
you, Chris Jones. I can't help but read these messages. Okay,
Yes.
Chris Jones, like, I love the smile. Thank you so much. I appreciate it,
Yes.
my brother.
Yes, and but that's the whole the even the idea of what we're talking about here, and things changing and people growing, right? I also love to mention that you've again grown your own, not just from the personal space, but then your own content, right?
Yeah.
Like sharing this vulnerable side, and not only that, you've also taken what you started. What was it? About a year, maybe a year and a half ago, when you started doing the whole studio mastery
Home
thing,
studio mastery. Yeah.
right? And it's kind of now transitioned and grown itself. I mean, so if we're talking about growth and development, you've actually taken that from another side project and hobby
Yeah.
now into an actual accredited course that people can go get college credit for. That's amazing.
Absolutely. It was something. It's something that I can totally shout out from the mountaintops. Hey, if you're going college, guess what? We're entering a world where video is number one. You
Yeah.
know, just earlier today, my cousin was on ABC News, and she's talking about nutrition, and she was really well spoken. But guess what I picked on, right? Being somebody in the home studio, I was like, I didn't say to anybody, but there's a lot of work that can go in that space, because when you show up on these streams, when you show up on these, you want to show your best foot forward. Now, what's beautiful is that she was amazingly brave in showing up and sharing her knowledge in the nutrition space, and that's what we're all doing. That's where we all started. I know Kenny D keeps asking about how's my honey. Well, she's doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it though, is like helping when you have a mission, right? When you go out and you set, your own passion into doing something like this. And you start not only creating, but then you start developing and finding now these, like even talking about what your cousin, you start seeing these things now that are now just automatically natural,
Mm-hmm.
where even from the beginning perspective, I'm sure there was times you were like, well, how do I develop an actual idea? And now you've done it over and
Yeah.
over again, that now it just sort of sticks out by as like a sore thumb, where you're like, oh my gosh, that needs to, because to pull back a little bit on what we were talking about kind of before we went live as well.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned to me about my own camera. How many streams have I done, guys? I mean, you guys know. And then giving me tips like, hey, why don't you change like your positioning on your camera so it looks even? And it's like, ooh, interesting. I love that. And I don't know if that's something you probably would have done a year ago, like
Mm-hmm.
to mention that to somebody when you jump on somebody else's live stream and go, oh, listen, by the way, here's a tip.
It's a
Um,
tip.
and kind of helping you out, and most of the times, like me, even I was like, heck yeah, I appreciate that, and that
Mm-hmm.
gives me perspective from like from one creator to another, like seeing these sort of things and that small details that stick out, and you're like, man, this is only and I'm pretty sure the reason you do it is because you wanted to help somebody give their best presentation possible,
Yes.
right? So
Absolutely.
and again, like you've even created tools. So if you want to share, look at this, folks. This is like why I love. This is the tech goofy side of what we like to do. But he's actually got a sort of a positioning that he's kind of created where it
So let's see.
gives.
Let's pull this up.
Let's see if we can pull this up. Look at this, folks. Um, and what it does is it's like it gives you when you're on a live stream and you're got your camera tuned up and you're like, your camera looks really good and crisp and clear, but are you positioned well enough? Are you in a spot where it can, it's going to make a good image that people can look at that.
So you want to fit in this little area. So no matter where your camera is, just position yourself, and now you'll be perfectly centered. And that way,
Look at that.
it's just more appealing. I mean, we love symmetry as human beings. We love symmetry. That's why our eyes are next to each other now.
Right.
So human beings, we love symmetry. We love beauty, and so why not use that to our advantage?
Right. And, and there's a few people on here who might not know exactly a little bit like where you kind of started or how you got to this point. But again, you shared, I think it was was it a week and a half ago? Like you shared a post, like talking about how where you started out with in your basement and it looked bare, you know, and that
Yeah.
that it's a progression to get to this point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so what kind of tips and advice would you give somebody like saying that is maybe at not the beginning level, but they're at a point where they're like, hey, I can do a few things here,
Mm-hmm.
but like most of the things that people talk about are either their lighting or microphones or microphone positions. So,
Yeah.
like, what are a few tips that you give people that know how to again can help
Well,
them up their game with the
absolutely.
material they
So,
got in their hands? You know?
and I've got completely dark.
Uh oh, have we gotten? Oh no.
Sorry, I can still hear you.
Yeah, we can still see you.
All
Um,
right.
but that's
I
okay.
think I think the browser didn't like me. killing OBS while I was on here. Let me start that up again.
Yes, that is, and that's another thing. Like for most people, that when they get started,
Yeah,
um,
right. So things are gonna happen no matter how experienced you are. You're gonna screw something up on a live stream, and it's totally fine, right? Totally fine, because we are all human, and we like when we see other humans fail or succeed. We're able to fix the issues. So some of the first things. So if you've been already creating video content and live streams or whatever, first thing people ask is lighting. How do I do my lighting? So people want to be able to see you,
yeah,
and they also want to be able to hear you. If you can't hear me, then my mess, no matter how clean, sharp my video looks, it's not going to make good sense, right? It's not going to make any difference in the world. So hear you, listen to you, and be able to see you.
yeah,
Cameras need lights just like we need light. We love the sun when we go out, but sometimes that's too much sun. So that's when we put sunglasses on, and that's why we need diffused lights. Now, if I'm talking too fast, let me know.
no, no,
So
no,
diffused lights is the first thing that I recommend to people, so that you have these soft shadows, soft lights, and then good audio so people can hear you. The third thing that I say is, hey, make sure that you're framed right in the shot, just like that little overlay that I showed earlier. You're
yep,
framed right, and now, and how do you know that you're framed right? Look at television. When we watch TV, when we watch newscasters, what do you notice in their shots? Now, if it's
right,
a wide shot, you see, but if it's a close-up shot, they have plenty of room on the bottom so they can run their stories, they can run the name tags, they can run all those things. There's very little thing happening above your head unless you have a halo that you want to show off. There's nothing above
right,
that space happening that needs to go in the shot. So those are just a few tips, just so you're getting better from your last stream.
yeah,
What did Michael Jordan, what did Kevin Hart,
Sure.
what did Michael Jordan, Kevin Hart, Steph Curry, what did they do? They practice and they say, hey, how did I do yesterday? How can I do better tomorrow? So they're competing against themselves. They're looking at those tapes. They're looking at their work, and then they're coming back and say, okay, this didn't work. Let me try it again. So you're competing with yourself, nobody else.
Hmm.
So if we can learn from our own experience and like, okay, I did this last week. How can I become better for the next week show, or for for you tomorrow? So how can I be better?
Yeah.
So look at those
Yeah.
things. You got these daily shows going on, man. You're gonna take over the internet pretty soon, for sure.
um, but yeah, I love those. I love that idea of constantly improving, and again, making mistakes, despite how many things you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's a big misnomer that people still think about, that we've done
Yeah,
so many episodes, we've got so much experience, and we just seem to do everything so seamlessly,
yeah,
and it's not the case. I mean, I've done multiple streams where I've experienced, just this last season, I've experienced so many things that I never actually
mm-hmm.
had to deal with before. So even though I've done as many as I have, I'm still learning, right? And that's the whole idea, is to continue to learn. I mean, even how long have you been doing your podcast, the
My
Hacks and Hobbies
my
podcast?
podcast started back in 2018. I did solo episodes for the first year, and then towards the end of the year, I was like, "Hey, I'm wondering if there's other crazy people talking to themselves like myself,"
Yes, there are.
and hence started interviewing people. And looks like my baby's crying. Why?
That's okay. Trust me, I've
Um,
had four kids
while Noah's around.
jumping around in the background.
No, no, he's crying in his crib. So
Oh,
I might
okay.
have to jump out. But and my
Ah,
oh,
well, I
what?
love this. Okay, real quick, I'm we'll talk about this real quick. What
Yeah,
should newish live streamers focus on before investing in gear?
I love that question,
I'll let you answer it, and I'm
Chris.
gonna
Thank you so much for
yes,
asking.
and I'll share my thoughts as well. I'll let you go
The
first, though.
first thing, the first thing that everybody needs to work on before they invest in any gear at all is your storytelling. Talk to as many people as possible. And something that I did myself was I was going to Toastmasters since 2016. So for 2016 to 2018, I was doing Toastmasters. It taught me a lot about how to speak, how to put my thoughts together. I was still not good at storytelling. I was still not good at putting thoughts together, but I knew what it takes to be a good speaker, right? Figure out, go to Toastmasters are doing weekly meetings all the time. So get in on that. There's a local Toastmaster group around you for sure that you can learn from. So work on yourself before you spend money, because it is very easy to spend a ton of money on gear. It's very easy to buy that $250 Nike shoes that's going to help you run marathon, but if you haven't ran at all,
Right,
it's those shoes are not going to do you any good.
right,
Yes, you're going to look really beautiful, really sharp, but if you can't tell a concise message or a story or be able to share their vulnerability, then it's still going to be a work in progress. So yes, if you have the money, then go ahead, set up your studio, and I can help you with that. But if you want to wait in investing the gear, work on yourself
right,
and talk to as many people as possible.
right. And that's one of the things that I agree with you on that front. And the other thing that I usually share with folks whenever they want to get started, right from that point, um, is not only you know not only work on your storytelling, that's important, but as you discover what that is or whatever your content is, make sure it's going to be something that you're going to be passionately be able to talk about.
Yeah,
Because here's the problem: if you're like just picking random topics, or you're just picking things that you think would be good, but that is not something that you're going to invest in. Um, there's going to become a time where it just starts becoming mundane,
yeah,
and your content's going to run dry.
yeah,
So if it's something that you are, again, remotely passionate about, and you want to focus on that sort of idea of creating content specifically towards that, yeah, just make sure it's something that you're gonna be wanting to do night in and night out. I mean, not like me, but of course, every time you do this, because you are investing not only in the equipment, right, but the investment of time. And that's one that, again, that is one that you cannot get back. I mean, the gear and everything else, if you buy it, guess what? You may not get retail for it, but you can still sell it. If you're like, I give up tomorrow, I don't want to do anything of this anymore. Well, you can put it all out there on eBay. Somebody will buy it. Will be an individual to be interested in it, but
yeah,
it's the time factor for me. It's like that's for me where it's more important, because if you invest, like, again, 3 months into something and you realize that you hate it, I mean, those 3 months you're not going to get back.
hmm,
So if it's something that you
yeah,
figure that you want to, again, spend time talking on, and it's important. So that's why I tell people when we start talking about this, and I was like, hey, think of the ideas of, like, whether it's something not always closely aligned with your profession, unless your profession is your passion, then
hmm,
go for it, man.
yeah,
But like what you do with Hacks and Hobbies,
absolutely,
I mean, there's so many things you can touch on, because that's what you're talking about. Somebody's hobby, something that they're going to be passionate about. So
hmm,
they're going to be able to share and open up about it plenty of times, because that's what they love to do. But it's hard. It's hard sledding. I've seen people give up really
yeah,
quickly, doing the whole live stream and podcasting thing, because they don't think about that beforehand. I mean, I had a guy, I mean, literally told me he spent like almost $2,000 on equipment, Junaid. And he's like, man, I got all this stuff here. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not doing it anymore. I was like, just like you said, he went and brought the pretty shoes. So they look good.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran it for
Yeah.
him and like 3 or 4 times. And he put them in the closet. And they're just sitting there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that was,
It's it's a lot. It's not just one angle. There's so many variables, right? You got to get the lighting. You got to connect all those things in the right place. But then you also got to work on yourself, which we forgot. And that's where my um, realization came to, because I've been shooting video. I've been doing documentaries and short films for a decade,
yeah,
right? I've been doing it for so long, and when it came to for me to set up a little stage to record a course in my basement, I was like, okay, I got the camera right. It's got the right framing. I got the lighting. I got the audio. And then I go and stand in front of the camera,
mm,
and crickets. I was like, I know what to say. I wrote it down, but how do I get started? It's like wait, record again. Okay, cut. How about take one. Um, this is Junaid, and we're gonna be talking about. Hold on, it's hard. It's not easy. It's so hard, and that's why when we watch television, when you look at these people that show up on television, they are so good because that's the only thing that they've practiced their entire life. You just
yeah,
point a camera at them, and they know exactly how to greet, how to talk, and start speaking. But if you give them a camera and lights, they're like, what do I do with this? Do I put it in my
right,
pocket? What do I do with it? Right. So
right,
there's so many different levels, and watching TV shows around news and around everything, you start to see this, that we can only have one or two dimensions unless you work on them, and then you're able to build up and develop those other dimensions.
yeah. And I'm laughing because as I started doing my own set of tutorials, like, right, I'm like you, like, I got this down. I already got all the, like, everything preset, all my B-rolls. Man, this is gonna be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there you are, lights, camera, action. You're standing there, and all of a sudden you're like, um, dang it, I
Uh-huh.
gotta stop, and then,
Exactly.
you catch yourself, right? And that's the whole part about what, even as I'm like you, what I'm learning in doing these sort of tutorials and how you're communicating that, right? So that's what I've been doing lately, is going, watching, and learning how others
Mm-hmm.
who do it so seamless, what seems seamlessly. They've probably worked at it, but seeing how they do that and making it feel very intimate with your audience, like how to
Yeah.
actually, like watching guys like Nick Nimmin and other people who are doing these videos, and how they make it look very natural. And
They've they've had a lot of practice, right? They've
they've
got
had,
hundreds and hundreds of videos under their belt and helping people. And Dan Roth keeps
yes.
throwing in this Bollywood. I've never been to India, my friend.
Oh no. Who? Oh, okay. No.
That never
No.
happened.
No. Now I would like to be, but that didn't happen. But no, no, no. This is again what, as we talk about people who've done creating. Like, I've done enough I've done enough live streams to actually know how to navigate a live stream. But then this is where I
Hmm.
tell people there's the difference between doing that and then doing recorded video.
Yeah.
Because then you're actually, and I thought about it. What I had to go do is I went and put back on my script writer um, head, thought process, because I used to do script writing in a past life,
Hmm.
and I really had to think about it again, like how I wanted to script out what I wanted to share, and then whether what I wanted to actually ad lib. So that was like the next process for me, is like putting that together and going, okay, let's see if we can uh, build out a more structured. And this is where I tell people, this is where structure kind of This is where structure kind of works hand in hand with what you're creating. Um,
Yeah.
because then you actually have a summary from A to Z, how to get to how to record from one end to the other, and that's a big one for anybody who's actually like thought about doing recorded video. I mean, you can go watch all these live streams all you want. I love
Yeah.
live streaming. Trust me, I love it. It is what I get to do every single day. Um, but the recorded part, um, right now, if there's an Achilles heel, that's it.
Hmm.
So,
Because when you're recording content, you're recording for yourself.
yeah,
One tip that I would give you is think about the one person that you're helping in that video, and now talk to that person. You could even start with, "Hey, Gabe, this is what I think," and then you start recording, and then you could cut out the beginning part. And most of the videos that I created, I was helping somebody else, figure out the solution, and then I post that video on my YouTube, and thousands of views later, they're like, "Wow, this was so good. It felt like you were talking directly to me."
right. And that's I think that's the part that I'm trying to get to right now is the intimate part about it. So like one of the ones that I was recording when I first started and doing this, and I haven't even put it out because I got to go back and edit it. But when I was recording, it was like how to something that I do all the time: how to troubleshoot a live stream,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are people that are actually now starting to do this, and they're trying to do it. Even what we teach them, like DIY, how to actually do it,
Yeah.
but running into issues when you're on a live stream, like kind of even something that happened. Look, this is the perfect example. What happened to Junaid a few about 10 minutes ago, with the screen freezing up, like troubleshooting. Like, oh my gosh, what
Mm-hmm.
do I do now? What
Yeah.
do I do when that happens? Like, so walking through that process, well, that's a solution for somebody. So somebody's coming to look for that because like, my gosh, I couldn't figure out how to, reroute my audio, or my camera for some reason kept lagging. So, that's a part of it, is how to build a way to give somebody the answers that they're looking for. Like you said, talk intimately into the camera. So that is where I'm practicing over and over and over again. So the waking moments
Yeah.
of the not seeing me live streaming, that's what I'm trying to do. Is like, because I do it. So look, yeah, I'm gonna toot my own horn, people. So yes, I'm tooting my own horn. I'm tooting my own horn. But yes, I do this very well on this side of how to, again, do a live stream. But when I'm doing it in front of a camera and there's no audience, I stand up, my mind sits down, and I don't know what to do. So it's kind of hard, but that's where I think that's where we're both learning and
Yeah.
kind of progressing as far as becoming content creators, and that's a big one. That I'm glad that you're doing that you're making this a course that people can go learn how to do this, because I think it's these, again, it's becoming it's becoming a huge market for a lot of people. So it's not just doing the technical part, but then it's like you help them, like excuse me, walk me through like some of the things that you do cover in the course, as far as not it's not spilling all the beans, but just give us a little
Sure.
taste of like what it is when somebody says, I want to take this course because I want to make my background and everything else around me work to my advantage.
Yeah. So we talk about uh, room analysis and studio design because those are two things that are combined and put together. That's gonna show you who you are and build your brand. And then from there on out, we talk about lighting, we talk about cameras, we talk about audio, and all of that stuff, which then builds your brand out essentially. So
Mm.
those are just the five main pillars that we talk about. And then once you've got it all connected, how do you put it together in your room? How do you use the different software? How do you build all of these things together so that you can show up with intention? You can show up with love. We can show up with the real you
Right.
and who you really are. And that's where it's so important to bring your own story, because guess what? There's no other Gabe or Junaid like you and I are, right? We're a
Right.
one in a billion, like literally billion. There's nobody who has the same story as I do. Yes, there might be some parallels, but the
Right.
deeper I go, the more people are going to start resonate and um, see themselves in those struggles that we share.
Right. And not only that, I mean, I love that you touched on that, because then when you get the surroundings like around you settled, then it pretty much just primarily focuses now on the story and
Yeah.
what you're
And
sharing.
what you can bring to the what, because now you're the entertainer, you're the
Yes.
performer, you got to put the work in you so that people stick around for the you that they came for.
Right. And I think that is where, uh, I think ultimately that's where people want to get. I think once you have all this other stuff around you, like settled in, and you're like, I'm satisfied with how everything looks around me, then it's really just focusing on um, what you're sharing with your audience, your
Yeah.
content, and then what you want to put out there. I think and to me, that's where again, all the other, look, I don't want to short sell everything that we both talk about, but ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Even when we're talking about tech, it comes down to the way that we do our content and the way that we share it, and whether or not it's going to help resonate with the person that's actually watching. And they're like,
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm going to tell you right now, how many videos are on YouTube talking about, cameras?
A ton, thousands and millions.
I mean, you can pick one camera. I can talk about the one I use, the Sony ZV-10. I can
Hmm.
go put that in there, and there's probably 25, 30 different tutorials that'll pop up
Yes.
instantaneously.
Yes.
But you can go watch like the first five, and you're like, eh. And then somebody else does it, and it's like, that person
Wow.
connects with me.
Yeah.
And I learned from this individual, like how they share the settings and everything. They're just able to communicate it. So that's what I say.
Hmm.
Despite what it is that we're talking about, um, it is how you're able to present it to that particular person that's looking for it, that it's really going to matter. And that's why I keep
100%.
telling people, go out there and um, go out there and put your message out there. And then all the other cool stuff and all the other things that we talk about here, those are things that you acquire over time. I mean, again, if you would have just thought about this when you first started, Junaid, you probably wouldn't have come as far
No,
as you did, to this
it's
point.
it's it's the power of combined interest, right? There are How many grocery store do you pass by when you're driving?
Oh,
They're all selling milk. They're all selling milk.
right,
And you're going to pick the store that you resonate with. So just like there's 25,000 videos talk about the same ZVE10, you're going to watch the video. If Gabe puts out that video, guess what? Guess whose video I'm going to watch? I'm going to go watch Gabe's video because I know Gabe. I'm going to watch Chris Stone's video because I know Chris Stone. I'm going to watch
yeah,
Jenny Gold's video because I know Jenny Gold. It's the it's it's the power of tribe. You're going to go watch your own people's videos. So there is no competition. There's
right,
only collaboration. You learn from 10 different people, you create your own style, and you put it out there. That's
yeah,
why all the cars have the steering wheel in the same place, accelerator in the same place. Nobody's gonna say, "Oh, I want to be unique."
right,
No, the only way you're unique is by adding additional things to the car, not how it operates.
right, and that's again, man. That is
Hmm.
that is why it's important for you to
That's way too
uh,
many.
get started. For me, that's why it's worth getting started and just doing it from nothing when you begin,
Yeah.
and then you sort of start finding whether or not it is for you doing this in front of a camera, or if it's doing the
Hmm.
recorded side of it, or if it's not even that, if it's doing
Yeah.
doing the podcast. You're like, no, I hate being on camera. cool. You know, you didn't spend tons of money. You didn't do all these things. And then um, the priorities change at that point, because then if it's an
They
audio,
do,
if,
and
if
which is totally fine, right? Which is totally fine. We all grow in different ways. Maybe you don't want to eat tomatoes
yeah,
all year long, right?
that's right. I want variety.
I like variety.
Hey,
So that's fine. That's why there's so many different platforms that have grown and brought their people around those because of the variety. So people, we all remember when Snapchat came out and they had these stories, vertical videos. Everybody was like nay nay around vertical
yeah,
videos, and the Snapchat blew that out of the park. And guess what? Everybody copied it
yeah,
because people are everywhere. We love our, we love to be the same, and you're going to find different audience on different platform, which is totally fine, but you're going to find your people on those platforms.
right. And that's why, folks, that's why we help come on here and share different stories, different perspectives, everything, because we want you to walk away with a lot of inspiration and value out of these shows. So, part of the reason I get up and do these every single night is because I want to be able to, again, reach out to one individual and then kind of get them started down whatever path that is for them, because I'm not here if somebody doesn't do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in my end, it is for me, like, to want to continue to reciprocate that and just help that one person get themselves on camera and doing their thing. So I'm going to ask Lachelle's question real quick before we start wrapping up. But Lachelle is actually going to be tomorrow's guest. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm letting you guys, I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit. She's going to be on with me tomorrow evening. But her question is this: do you incorporate teaching your kids the value of camera, lighting, etc.? If so, how do you do that?
Well, that's an amazing question. Thank you so much, Lachelle. America's super mom. She's so amazing.
Yes.
I love when she talks and shares her stories. It's so inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Oh
So
yeah.
my kids actually came to me and they're like, "Hey, Dad, I want to start a YouTube channel." I was like, "All right, perfect. You have the desire to create video content. Let me help you." So I created a little studio for them, where initially they were like, "Okay, we just want to show people we're building these Lego structures, or we're building these transformers." So they were playing, and all you could see was their hands, and the camera was like pointing down, kind of like this.
Yeah.
So they were working with their hands. They're like putting things together, and then I was like, perfect. And then they got comfortable after they created at least like 20 videos. They got comfortable on creating these videos and editing them and putting them out there. And then they wanted to show up on camera. So they got to have some skin in the game, as they say. They got to have some passion
Right.
around what they want to share. My son started watching videos from Mr. Beast and all these popular, and I was like, Dad, I want to do skits like these guys are doing. I want to do funny videos and do these cool challenges. I'm like, go all out. You have all the gear that you want. So they gotta want to be creating content that they're watching themselves
Right.
to be able to really go into it, because now they're doing it as a fun hobby. They're doing it as something that's inspiring them. That's bringing them a lot of joy. And now they watch their channel and they're like, oh my god, we have 42 subscribers now, Dad. Oh my god.
Yes.
And then he's the marketer, right? He's like, Dad, oh, don't forget to tell him about my YouTube channel because we need some more subscribers. I'm like, all right, for sure.
That's right.
I got him the book called The YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves.
Yeah.
I bought the course from Pat Flynn on
Pat
how to do
Flynn.
YouTube channel, because he grew his secondary channel that was all around Pokemon, and he went from 0 to 100,000 subscribers within just 1 year.
Oh,
So he learned all these formulas. He learned all the things that he's applied on his other channels, and he brings it in his course. And I'm like, if you really want to grow it, you got to put time into it. And
yeah.
kids it's not easy. It's, they have a short attention span. Today they want to play basketball, tomorrow they want to play, rugby.
Yeah.
It's different. So we gotta be their adversaries, and we gotta be their supporters to support them and be like, hey, let's do this together.
Right.
Let's make sure that this is a fun experience, not just for you, but also for the people that are going to come watch. There's a really amazing YouTuber, Mark Rober,
Yep.
who says, every single YouTube that I create, video that I create, I'm creating for people who have never seen me before.
Yeah.
And I want them to stay, because people who are subscribing you, they're always going to come back and watch your stuff. But if you're making videos for somebody who's never seen it before, now you have a totally different mindset. How can you create such an engaging content that, whoa,
Right. And,
they're gonna stay?
yeah. And, again, that is where I think our kids are going to benefit, because they're growing up in this age.
Yeah,
Where this was something, 25 years ago, we didn't think about it, and now it's sort of acquired as we learning to do it. So it's going to be
yeah,
something that's already ingrained, like what they do. I mean, my son he's the same way. He wants to do his YouTube channel, and, he's working on his script. He always walks me through it.
yeah,
And I tell him, well, son, if you want to, we can, but you gotta, it takes a little bit of commitment to do that. And I tell him,
yeah.
if you want to do it, let's record, while they're in the moment, let's record like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 episodes.
Yes.
And that way kind of gives you something with a little bit of, something to work with, instead of having to go video for, video per video. And it's like, but it takes time to plan that out.
It does.
And that's why, like, I want them to understand that, like, they see me doing it, like, kind of like you, and they go, that looks like fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is fun, but there's also work that goes into it,
Yeah,
apart from just me being on camera. I'm going, woohoo, I'm here, and everybody's here, and they're happy, and that's not always the case. So there is some minor details that actually have to be planned out whenever
yeah.
you do
They
this.
gotta have the proper role models. They gotta have the proper teachers to help them along. We have to be their mentors, and we have to be their teachers at the same time.
Right.
And we can give them all the tools that they want, but then we also got to nurture that. Just like if you're working on your garden, you're not just gonna water one day and like, all right, it's all you now. We got to continue to
Right.
water those plants. Make sure that they're getting the right. And sometimes you have to prune those plants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what happens with kids. They want to record all sorts of videos, but then like, okay, think about it. Who's going to watch these videos? Yes, you're going to watch it. Your cousin's going to watch it. But then over time, you want to develop a persona and just create massive amount of content. And that's what Mr. Beast says. Create 100 videos, and then your video number 101 is still going to be better than the last ones. And
Yeah.
you're still going to get better over time. So we've gotta be able to be that coach, be that mentor, be that person that's supporting them, as well as cheerleading them on to grow.
There you go. So, Lachelle, I hope that answers your question. And if you want to know about another creator who's actually doing this for students and stuff, check out my previous episode with Yasmin Hayes. She's been doing this now for a lot of underprivileged children and stuff. And she's got a program where she does
Nice.
that. She teaches kids like the full aspect, whether it's being in front of camera or handling the production on the back end,
Nice.
giving them a skill set. Like that's something that they might be able to want to actually jump into and develop it into a career. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that from that aspect of like, hey, mold those young minds when they're like want to be there, and then it's all of a sudden not just becomes fun, but then it becomes a passion, and that for me is like
And
where I love it. when that happens.
I love it. And one little plug for a guest that I was on my podcast. He's got something called parenttheirpassion.com, and he's got 6 or 7 kids himself, and he's like, I want to grow the passions of my kids so they're not stuck in figuring out what their career is going to be. His kid was 13 years old, and he's like, Dad, I want to do voiceovers. So he went all in with voiceover. He did some episodes, and he's like, Dad, I'm done with this, but I want to edit episodes. I want to edit audio. And his friend was looking for a podcast editor. He's like, all right, my son's been editing audio for a couple of years. Why don't you do it? So now his son, who's now 16, 17 years old, he's editing podcasts, he's editing videos, he's making money on the side, and he's also growing his passion. So I'm like, holy smokes, that is friggin' amazing. Because, you know, these kids, they have all the power of the mind and the ability to do all of these things at a very young age. And
Yeah.
with the technologies that we've been around, we've had iPhones for, gosh, 17 years now,
Yeah.
right?
And
So maybe less. I think we're at 14. So 14 years. So anybody who's 14 years old has seen an iPhone for
yeah.
that long.
Right. And that's again,
Just a long freaking time. Yeah.
but the thing is like even from then to now, this is what I love about it. As they grow, so will the technologies around them. So it's not just going to be the same old thing.
Yeah.
That once they're learning from, it's a continuous process. So
Yeah.
as their passion grows and the things around them that they use are there, those grow and develop as well. You'll still learn, you'll still learn how to use these technologies, and as they're evolving, so do you.
Yeah.
So it's continuing education, even as, even as you get started as a youth, and by the time you're a seasoned professional, I mean, you're spent,
You've got it made, man. You got it made.
This is only going to continue to grow, folks. So,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you, Junaid, so much.
You're welcome,
Number one. Sit tight real quick. I'll holler at you right after the show. Everybody else, let me get into our guest for tomorrow evening. I did already mention that she'll be here, but we'll go ahead and mention it anyway again. Our guest for tomorrow evening. Folks, again, to Miss Lachelle Atkins will be our guest for tomorrow evening. So, all right, folks, thank you again so very, very much. Like I always say here, thank you for tuning in for another wonderful evening and another wonderful show, guys. You rocked it. Again, there is no audience like you on this LinkedIn platform, bar none. So if they have a question or a problem with it, direct them at me. I will show them all the episodes here and say, look, this is what our community does. This is what the people do when they show up here. Let's test that. So thank you again. Hats off to you guys as well. And of course, thank you to our guest for this evening, Mr. Junaid Ahmed. I've put links in the comments if you want to go check out his podcast, Hacks and Hobbies. You can also check out the website for his home studio mastery. You can go to the website there, see what he can help you do. And of course, I mean, what else is there to say, man? He's an awesome individual, and father of 4, still going out there working it, doing his thing, and not, again, finding ways to still go out there and help people. And that's the amazing part of who he is as an individual, and why I enjoy having him on the show. So, all right, guys, until tomorrow evening, guys, stay safe, stay well, be well. We'll get through this together, and I will talk to you tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. So until then, guys, good night.